It's not an easy job. There's nothing glorious about it either. Rescuing people is a great thing. There's nothing that can compare to someone throwing their arms around you and saying, "Thank you for saving my life," while they have tears in their eyes. There's nothing that can compare to that. Not a paycheck, nothing. Not for me. And that's why I do it. And I do it because I make a difference. And I do it because someone has to do it. And then I do it because these are my fellow human beings that I love and care about. And I do it because I'm a Christian, and I do it because I have my faith in God. I do it for a lot of reasons, but it's not an easy thing to do. And I've been doing this since 2013, long time. And albeit the challenges mentally are not as extreme as they used to be, but they are still there because it's not, you don't go out and do rescue work and come home and celebrate the rescue work. And we'll talk about war and conflict in this instance. You also have that simultaneous conversation that is taking place inside your head, whether it's during the operation itself, which you hope it's not, but it definitely happens when you get back, which is, where did man go wrong? Like, why is man putting other fellow human beings into these positions to where they need to be rescued in the first place? Why are they doing this to other people? Where did we go wrong? And it's hard not to get cynical or jaded towards humanity. You know, on top of that, if that's not enough, then you're also dealing with reintegration, which I've talked about before on a different podcast. And reintegration is very challenging in itself. You know, an example would be someone who comes home from the military is reintegrating back into society for the first time in 4 or 6 years, where we integrate back into society based upon the amount of operations that we have every year. So sometimes we're reintegrating 6 times from 6 different operations coming back, or we're reintegrating back into society 12 times if we do 12 operations, et cetera, et cetera. So that integration process is very challenging, and it's not as much as it used to be for me, but it's challenging. And you'll notice there's a lot of people that go into this type of work and they'll do 1 or 2 operations and they're out. And they've got their story that they can talk to other people about, and they can get, but usually it's because the reintegration process is so tough on them. You have oxytocin, you have dopamine, you have adrenaline dumping through your system nonstop for days, if not weeks, if not months on end. And you go home and it's not there anymore. And you deal with the mental aspect of feeling like you're not making a difference anymore, perhaps a failure. And that is tough sometimes, you know. And like I said, I've gone through it enough to where I can counter that internal conversation. I can shut it down by having another conversation, right? Which is usually, it's okay, this is normal. We already know the process. It'll take 2 to 3 weeks, perhaps even a month. You'll get through it, everything will be fine. And then usually right around that time, we're deploying again for another operation. But then there's the relationship aspect of it. And it can have a massive, massive negative impact on the relationship that you're going back to, whether that's your girlfriend or your wife, or maybe it's a relationship, with your family, your siblings, things like that, the friends and your family life. But Ukraine is a really good example. Ukraine was what I would consider an extremely high stress environment. And it was a constant, constant challenge. Even when you go to sleep, you're hearing bombs go off. You're wondering if your building is going to be the next one hit, or you're sleeping and a bomb goes off close enough to where you suit up and you get out there to rescue lives. Sometimes there's not a lot of sleep, but I came back to a relationship that I cared a great deal about, to a woman I loved very, very much, a woman named Tatiana. And I didn't deal with my reintegration properly. And instead, I suppressed a lot of what was inside of me. And because I didn't want to show her what I was dealing with, or how I was dealing with it, or how I dealt with it when I was in Ukraine. And it built up and built up. And inevitably, it ended that relationship that I cared a great deal about. And I regret that to this day. But these are the things that we deal with, and I don't want to put anybody off. I don't. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for compassion or anything like that. I'm simply stating these are the realities of the world in which I live in, and other people like me that do the same type of work. I guarantee that they're going through a lot of the same stuff that I'm talking about right now, whether you see it or not. I promise you that on some level it is impacting them. So I will continue to do this work. I love it. I care about my fellow man, and I'm good at what I do. And I don't have anything else anyway that I could go back to. This is my baby. It's what I love doing. So these are just some of the challenges. Thanks for asking.